Now you see that? Now she mourned for her. She don't know what's going on. She mourned because she did. She probably would have went off on him. But you see that? She mourned for her husband. And then she did what? She became David's wife. So now he done went and had this man, went lay with this man's wife. Got the man drunk. Tried to get him to lay with his wife. Then he had the man killed. Then he done took his wife. Now we ain't gonna go through the parable that Nathan gonna give David and everything. Let's just see what happened to David. Going on into the 12th chapter and pick it up in verse 9. Go ahead and read it.
Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord?
Now this is Nathan talking to David now. He said, wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord? Go ahead and read.
To do evil in his sight.
Uh-huh.
That has killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword.
Now wait a minute. He said that thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword. Now did he say for getting Uriah the Hittite drunk?
Mm-mm.
He didn't say that, did he?
No, sir.
He said for killing Uriah the Hittite with the sword. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be, thy wife.
And then took his wife. This is where the sin come in there, don't it?
Yes, sir.
Not that he got Uriah the Hittite drunk. Go ahead and read.
And hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon.
Uh-huh.
Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house.
Go ahead.
Because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife.
Now, you see that? He said the sword not going to depart from your house, David. Meaning it's going to be wrath in your house at all from this time forward, David. Well, you know, I could have killed you, but no, I'm going to leave the sword. I'm going to drop the sword in your house.
It's written. Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Thus said the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house.
Now, he's talking about his son. You know, because his son rose up against him and chased him out of his kingdom. You know, go ahead and read.
And I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor.
Go ahead.
And he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of thy son, of this son.
Now, you know, because some men, they took the wives of David and laid with them on the roof of his house. Now, skip down to verse 13 and read. I tell you what, read verse 12. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. For thou did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all of Israel and before the sun.
Go ahead. He said, you did this in secret, but I'm going to do this openly. Well, this punishment I'm going to put on you, David. Go ahead and read.
And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord.
Wait a minute now. You see what he said? I have sinned against the Lord. Well, what sin that he committed? He had Uriah the Hittite killed, and then he took his wife. What did they say nothing about him being drunk, did it?
No, sir.
Go ahead and read.
I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin, that thou shalt not die.
See there, I could kill you. He said, but you know what? The Lord hath forgiven your sin that you shall not die. But that sword is going to be in your house for what you done, though, David. The sword is going to be in your house. So you see that? You see the evil that's done, you know, what that man do? You know, he got, his wickedness was not getting Uriah the Hittite drunk. His wickedness was getting that man drunk, trying to get him to go lay with his wife because he had already laid. David had already got her pregnant. Then he turned around and had the man killed, and then turned around and took his wife. That's where the wickedness lies. He just took the wine that he gave Uriah, that was just a tactic that he used, wasn't it? Now, let's go. We're going to throw this in here real quick. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter. Yeah, go ahead and read verse 14. Go ahead.
Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme. The child also that is born unto thee shall surely die.
Now you see what happened to the child? David brought all that wickedness on him and himself and his family because the child died.
That's right.
And then the sword was in David's house. Like I say, his son rose up against him and chased him out of the kingdom. But anyway, let's go now. Let's go now because, you know, this was made mention to me. 1 Corinthians, the 8th chapter. 1 Corinthians 8. 1 Corinthians 8. We're going to go here first. 1 Corinthians 8. I'm adding this in here. 1 Corinthians 8, and we're going to pick it up in verse 9. 1 Corinthians 8 and 9. We're going to just throw this in here real quick. 1 Corinthians 8 and 9. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block. This liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak.
Now, so, you don't want, because you drink, that don't mean that you go sit before somebody else that don't drink. You know they got a problem with drinking. You know they don't know how to act when they drinking. You know they trying not to drink. Then you don't go and put no stumbling block before them by drinking in front of them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I just want to throw this in here real quick because this was brought to my attention too. Go ahead and read.
For if any man see thee which has knowledge sit at meat in idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak before emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols?
Go ahead.
And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish for whom Christ died?
You see that? So you can cause a person to perish. You understand, by the things that you do. A weak person. You know that person is weak. You don't do certain things in front of them, right? That's what you don't put no stumbling block in front of him.
Yes,
and you don't do those things that's going to cause him to sin against the Lord. Go ahead and read.
But when ye sin so against the brethren,
See what you're doing against them? You got a brother person that's, we all know people on drugs or whatever, and they trying to stop, and then or stop drinking. Then you sit down with them and start drinking. Now you're gonna cause that person to stop. You might cause that person to start drinking. Then he might jump in his car and go kill himself. Or you got people that, come on man, you can have a drink. No, now you're sinning against them. He don't want to drink. He acting fool when he drink. He ain't supposed to be drinking. And then you gonna tell him, come on man, you can have a drink. You ain't supposed to, because you sinning against that person now. Go ahead and read.
and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Christ.
That's who you really sinning against. You are sinning against Christ. Go ahead.
Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth.
Go ahead.
Lest I make my brother to offend.
Lest I make my brother to offend. Read that over. Read that over. Verse 13. Read it over.
13. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend.
He said, if meat make my brother to offend. What he just saying is something, they don't necessarily have to be food or meat.
Right,
Whatever it is, it's going to cause my brother to offend. Offend who? Offend God.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
I will eat no flesh while the world standeth.
He said, I'm not going to eat no flesh while the world. Then if alcohol causes my brother to offend, then I'm not going to sit down with him and drink alcohol with him then, am I?
That's right, brother.
Go ahead and read.
Lest I make my brother to offend.
Lest I make my brother to offend. You don't want to cause him to sin or cause him to offend. By doing those things that you know that he ain't supposed to be doing. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 10. Ecclesiastes 10, and we're going to pick it up in verse 19. Ecclesiastes 10 and 19. Ecclesiastes 10 and 19. Go ahead and read.
A feast is made for laughter.
See there? A feast is made for laughter. So you go to a feast, you don't just be sitting around and doing nothing, do you? A lot of people that go to feast, they dancing, they singing, they happy, aren't they? What else they doing? Go ahead.
And wine maketh merry.
And wine maketh merry. If it was a sin, then why are you telling you wine maketh merry? And this is, we ain't talking about no grape juice here, are we?
No, sir.
He said, well, we know, because all of us probably done drink before. We know wine make merry.
Yes, sir.
It gives you, enhance your joy, doesn't it?
It does. Yes, sir.
Sometimes we get a little bit too joyous, but you know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, he said, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry. Go ahead.
But money answereth all things.
But money answereth all things. Let's go to John, the 2nd chapter, because what is the first miracle that Jesus did? The first miracle Jesus did, he made wine. It's a time and place for everything. The first thing that miracle Jesus did was made wine. You know, some brothers try to say, it's not firmament wine. Yes, it was. But why would he be making grape juice at a wedding? John 2 and 1. John 2 and 1. Because wine maketh merry, don't it?
Yes, sir.
And the people at this wedding party, they was happy, wasn't they? We had John 2 and 1. John 2 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Jesus was there.
Now Jesus' mother was even there. Go ahead and read.
And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted...
Now wait a minute now. His disciples and he was called to the marriage. Go ahead and read.
And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto them, unto him, they have no wine.
Now she said they wanted wine. He said they have no wine. Now if wine was a sin, why is she coming up asking him for wine? If it was a sin. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee?
Go ahead.
My hour is not yet come.
Go ahead.
His mother said unto the servants.
Now, you know, some guys, they talk to their mother like that. You be like, what? What you say, boy? But go ahead and read.
His mother said unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it.
Now, so his mother knew that he was going to do it, right? So she said, whatsoever, he must have been joking around. You know, what have I to do to you? You know, joking around. She said, well, whatsoever he asks you to do, do it. She knew he was going to do it then, didn't she? Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. And there were set there 6 water spots of stone. After the manner of the purifying of the Jews.
Go ahead.
Containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus said unto them, Fill the water pots with water.
Now he said, fill the water pots with water. Go ahead.
And they filled them up to the brim. And he said unto them,
said, they fill them up to the brim. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8.
You know Israel, they gonna try to get all they can.
Sure enough.
He fill them up to the brim. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8. And he said unto them, Draw out now and bear it to the governor of the feast.
Go ahead.
And they bear it.
Go ahead.
When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was,
go ahead.
But the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine.
He said, every man at the beginning, he doth set forth good wine. Now, you know, we talking about apple juice here or what? I mean, you talking about grape juice? What are we talking about here?
Good wine.
Good wine. He said, every man set forth good wine. Go ahead and read.
And when men have well drunk.
He said, now they get down now, right? He said, when men have well drunk. Go ahead and read.
Then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now.
He said, you know what? He said, and said unto every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine. And when men have well drunk, then that which is worse, but thou hast kept the good wine until now. You done kept the good wine to the end of the party almost, man.
It's
almost over with. You know, now you breaking out the good wine. Now you think they don't know the difference. He said every man brought forth wine, did good wine, did he? So they know the difference between wine and juice, then, don't they?
Indeed, brother. Yes, sir.
He said, but you done brought out the good stuff. In other words, read verse 11.
The beginning of miracles did Jesus in Cana of Galilee, and manifested forth his glory. And his disciples believed on him.
Now, if this was sin, then why would the Lord make wine? Why would he make wine if this was sin? And he called this a miracle, didn't he?
He did, brother.
He didn't even have to use no grapes, did he? And he made the best wine without grapes. You think they were just drinking grape juice?
No, sir.
Come on. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 13th chapter. 1 Corinthians 13. Because, you know, people think that the servants of God, they can't have fun. And it, you know, entailing having fun just don't entail drinking. You can do other things to have fun. You can play chess. What's wrong with playing chess? You can play checkers. What's wrong with playing checkers? What's wrong with this? Where's the sin in it at? Now, if you're going to start cheating now, you understand now. We got a problem. But you can do that in anything though, can't you? You can lie, steal at anything that you do. 1 Corinthians 13:11. 1 Corinthians 13 and 11. Go ahead and read it.
When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child.
Go ahead.
I thought as a child.
Go ahead.
But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
Now, does that mean that you can't play no more? You can't have fun no more? You can't play basketball no more? I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I played basketball. So when I'm grown, I still play basketball. Well, I don't play that much no more now, but you understand what I will, though. You understand what I'm saying? Where is the sin in this? Let's go now. Let's go, because when I was a child, I thought as a child, I played as a child. When I became a man, I put those childish things away. So I don't play like I played when I was a kid. You understand? I don't act like I acted when I was a kid. You know, there's a such thing as we call growing up, right? And maturing. And that's what Paul is telling you right here, that you have to do things in a mature way. You don't do things like when you was a child. But that don't mean that I can't have fun because I'm grown, because I have matured. That don't mean I can't have fun. Let's go now. 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter. 1 Timothy 6. 1 Timothy 6, and we're going to pick it up at verse 17. 1 Timothy 6 and 17. And look at what Timothy said, what Paul said, telling Timothy right here. 1 Timothy 6 and 17. Go ahead.
Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded.
He said, charge them that are rich in the world, they be not high-minded. Go ahead. And that goes on now, don't it? That went on back then, because ain't nothing changed under the sun. That went up back then, get rich, they high-minded then, they really get rich now, they high-minded, aren't they? Read that over.
Charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded.
Go ahead.
Nor trust in uncertain riches.
Go ahead.
But in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy.
Ooh, you see that? He giveth unto us all things richly to enjoy. You understand? So if I want to go play some chess, I enjoy playing chess, then I can play some chess there at the Cana. Everything God hath made. And he gave it to us richly to enjoy. Yes. Now I'm not talking about going out doing no drugs and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. Because that's illegal, ain't it? And then some people get high, they act stupid, don't they? Go out and do crazy stuff, don't they? I ain't talking about that, because that ain't a part of the Lord's plan right there. That ain't a part of the Lord. He said, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God. So if I'm trusting in the living God, then I'm not going to be going out, drinking, getting high, and running the streets, and doing this and doing that, all type of stuff, am I? I'm going to do things decently and in order, but in the living God, who giveth unto us richly all things to enjoy. To enjoy. So your Lord wants you to have fun too. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter. I'm going to show you exactly what this really is, though. Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter. Let me show you what all of this really is. What Solomon said it is. Ecclesiastes 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Ecclesiastes 2 and 1. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said in my heart, go to now, and I reprove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also is vanity.
You see what he said, though? He said, enjoy pleasure. Behold, though, this also is vanity. But he told you enjoy, though, didn't he? Go ahead and read. Because that's what you spell. Look, that's what God gave us all these, that's what God gave us all these different personalities we get, I should say. I'll just say. You know, love. You know, you're not supposed to hate nobody, but men hate, don't they? All these different emotions we got, don't we? Laughter, you understand? Sad, glad, mad, anger. He gave us all of these emotions, didn't he? But he said right here, he said, love, enjoy pleasure. You know, we don't want to get, because I'm going to show you too much pleasure, what it's going to cause you. And what it's going to do to a person, too much pleasure. So we got to take things in moderation then, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Not that we can't enjoy it, because that's what the Lord gives us these pleasures for, to enjoy. But go ahead and read, though, verse 2.
I said of laughter, it is mad. And of mirth, what doeth it?
Go ahead.
I sought in my heart to give myself unto wine. Yet acquainting my heart with wisdom.
Go ahead.
And to lay hold on folly.
He said, I gave myself to wine, yet acquainting my heart with what? Wisdom. Go ahead.
And to lay hold on folly.
See that? He said, I done it too. I done laid hold on folly too. Go ahead and read.
Till I might see what was that good for the sons of men.
He said, you know, I was just checking it out to see what was good in it for the sons of men. Go ahead.
Which they should do under heaven all the days of their life. I made me great works.
Go ahead.
I built me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards.
Go ahead.
And I planted trees in them of all kind of fruit.
Now, do you think he did all this just to not enjoy it? He did this to enjoy it, didn't he?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
I made me pools of water.
You think he didn't swim in these pools? You understand what I'm saying? Come on. Go ahead and read.
I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house.
Go ahead.
I also had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me.
In other words, I had the best of everything. All these things. I even laid hold of a little folly. Go ahead and read.
I gathered me also silver and gold, and peculiar treasure of kings and of the provinces.
He said, I was rich too while I was doing all this. I was rich while I was doing all this. Go ahead and read.
I got me singers and women singers and delights of sons of men.
He said, I got singers of men and singers of women too. You think everything they were singing was about God? Come on. Go ahead and read.
As musical instruments and that of all sorts.
You see that? He said musical instruments and that of what? All sorts. You can listen to music. You won't be listening to no crazy stuff now. Talking about killing somebody or calling a woman this name and that name and you going to do this, you going to do... No, not that kind of music. Well, what's wrong with you singing a song to your wife if you can sing, you know? You're going to serenade your wife and sing her love song. What's wrong with that? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're showing your wife you love her, don't you? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with you playing some drums or some timbales or playing a saxophone? What's wrong with that? I don't see nothing wrong with it because Solomon said he did all of this, didn't he? Go ahead and read verse 9.
So I was great. And increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem.
He said, I had everything. I increased more than all of them that were in Jerusalem. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
Also my wisdom remained with me.
He said, also my wisdom It remained. I did all this and I still retained my wisdom. See, he did things in moderation, didn't he?
He did, brother.
He did a little folly. But for the most part, he did things in moderation. He didn't let his wickedness exceed him, right? He didn't overdo it, right? Go ahead and read.
10.
Uh-huh.
And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them.
Uh-huh.
I withheld not my heart from any joy.
Go, he said, hoo-hoo, you see that? He said, I withheld not my heart from any joy. Go ahead and read.
For my heart rejoiced in all my labor.
Uh-huh.
And this was my portion of all my labor.
He said, this was the portion of all my labor. Go ahead, because we read earlier, you know, enjoy the labor of your hand, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought,
Uh-huh.
and on the labor that I had labored to do.
Go ahead.
And behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit.
He said all this was just vanity and vexation of the spirit. All this that I had done, it was vanity. And it is. Mm-hmm. Because what you do today, it might not even matter the next day. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right, brother.
That you enjoy it. That's why the book say, don't take no thought for the things tomorrow or yesterday. You reside in today. You live for today.
Yes, sir.
You enjoy today. Go ahead and read. Don't do your pleasures on the Sabbath, though. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
All was vanity and vexation of the spirit, and there was no profit under the sun.
He said there was no profit under the sun, but yet he still did it, though, didn't he?
That's right.
Didn't say it was sin, though, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly.
He said, I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. Go ahead.
For what can the man do that cometh after the king?
Go ahead.
Even that which have been already done.
Go ahead.
Then I saw that wisdom exceedingly folly.
You see that? He said, then I saw that wisdom excelleth what? Folly. Wisdom. So, you know, you do things in moderation. You're going to do something, do it in moderation, but always maintain wisdom and integrity. And when you maintain the wisdom and integrity, that means you serving God still, right? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness.
As far as light excelleth darkness. Now, Solomon said he did all these things. I don't see what the Lord called him a sinner for doing these things.
No, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs, the 21st chapter. Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21.
Bless.
And we're going to pick it up at verse 17. Proverbs 21 and 17. Because I'm going to show you what too much pleasure will do for you. Proverbs 21 and 17. Let's see what too much pleasure will do for you. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read it.
He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man.
You see that? He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor. All your whole time that you, from morning to night, your thing is just pleasure. Mm-hmm. Whether it's drinking or running the streets or whatever you're doing for your pleasure. From morning, he said, he that loveth pleasure is going to be what? A poor man. Go ahead and read.
He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich.
He said, he that loveth wine or oil shall not be rich. That don't mean you can't drink it. They didn't say you can't drink it, did he? He said, he that loveth it. Meaning that's what he's doing. Oh, he's drinking all day. You understand? This is pleasure, drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now you taking on a horse of another color now. You drinking, this your pleasure, drinking wine all day. And we see people like that all the time. We call them wine heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go now. I'm going to show you what they called them back during the day, during biblical times though. Let's go to, first, let's go to 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter. 1 Timothy 5. Because this go for a woman too. 1 Timothy 5. And it didn't change when you got to the New Testament. You know, because brother, you know, that stuff was done when the Lord was living. But after the Lord died, you can't do those things no more. Look at this. Look at this. 1 Timothy 5 and 6. 1 Timothy 5 and 6. Let's see what he said about the woman that loves pleasure. 1 Timothy 5 and verse 6. Go ahead and read
it. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
Ooh, you see that? But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. That's all she thinking about is pleasure. Whether she drinking or whatever she doing for her pleasure. She is dead while she living. So ain't no different from the man in the Old Testament is the New Testament, is it? If you living in pleasure, that's all you doing from sun to sundown is pleasure, you're going to be a poor man, aren't you?
That's right.
See, if you drinking wine, that's your pleasure. You're not going to be rich. And she that will live in pleasure, she is dead while she living. That is really something, the walking dead. That is really something, ain't it? So your life shouldn't consist of just pleasure then, should it?
No, sir.
Because if a man don't work, neither shall he eat.
That's right.
I should have put that in there, but I didn't. But that's all right. Let's go now. Let's go to Proverbs, the 23rd chapter. Now let me show you what they were called during biblical time, what we call wine heads. Proverbs, the 23rd chapter. Proverbs 20, because ain't like Solomon said, ain't nothing new under the sun. The things that they were doing back then, men doing them now, aren't they? Proverbs 23, and we're going to pick up at verse 19. Proverbs 23 and 19. You know, it's a time and place for everything. And we got to do things in moderation, not overdo things. Proverbs 23 and 19. Go ahead and read it.
Hear thou, my son, and be wise and guide thine heart in the way.
He said, hear thou, my son, and be wise and guide thy heart in the way. See, you got to take control of yourself. Ain't nobody else going to do this for you. You know, you can take a drunk person and say, man, don't get drunk no more. Person that's smoking, hey, don't be smoking no more, man, because you do, I'm going to lock you up. You can lock them up. Man, if I catch you drinking again, I'm going to beat you. You can beat them. You can lock them up. Whatever you want to do to them, you can do to them. But if that person want to drink or smoke, he going to drink and smoke, ain't he?
That's right.
He going to drink and smoke. So you got to guide your heart. You got to be wise and guide your heart. You got to know when to say enough is enough. Go ahead and read though. Read that over.
Hear thou, my son, and be wise and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among wine bibbers.
You see that? Be not among wine bibbers. Go ahead.
Among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty.
Now you see what he called this wine bibber? A drunkard and a glutton. I mean, he overindulging in this, isn't he? She'll come to what? Poverty. Well, we read that earlier, didn't we? Read that one more time.
For the drunkard and glutton shall come to poverty. And drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags.
You see that? And drowsiness. He really got drunk because he got a hangover, don't he? He said, you didn't know the Bible talk about hangover, did you? He said, drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So we ain't talking about no grapes here, are we? No grape juice, are we? We talking about what we call today wine heads and drunk people. This talking about that. He said, don't be among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty. And you see them, we see them. They are standing out on the corner begging, aren't they? I mean, that's the way they choose to live. I'm not railing on them when I talk about them nothing. The Bible talking about them, ain't it? Say they're going to come to poverty. Now, let's go now. I brought you there for a reason. But before I show you that reason, let's go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter, the second chapter. 1 Peter 2. And we're going to pick it up at verse 20. 1 Peter 2 and 21. 1 Peter 2 and 21. 1 Peter 2 and 21. The Lord knows what He's talking about, don't He?
Indeed.
We see men like this almost every day. They're standing out begging for money so they can get them something to drink. Mm-hmm. Now, if you begging for money, then what have you come to? Poverty. Mm-hmm. It's better to give than receive, but I'm just showing you what the Lord is saying, how these men got like this. Mm-hmm. 1 Peter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 21. Go ahead and read it.
For even unto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow His steps.
Leaving us an example that you should follow His steps. Go ahead and read.
Who did no sin.
He didn't do no sin. Go ahead.
Neither was guile found in His mouth. Who when He was reviled not again. When He suffered, He threatened not, but committed Himself to Him that judgeth righteously.
Go ahead.
Who His own self bare our sins in His own body on the tree. That we, being dead to sins, should live unto righteousness.
Go ahead.
By whose stripes ye were healed. For ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd. Turned unto the shepherd and bishop of your soul.
Now you see that? He said, for ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto what? The shepherd and bishop of your souls. So now the Lord is a shepherd and bishop